Chester-Borrows.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. It's a terrible thing when a political party seeks to corral and to maintain for themselves a sector within that society and will refuse any other political party to speak on their behalf. And that is what the Labor Party has done here. They have decided that anyone who is unemployed, anyone who is receiving any benefit from the government is theirs to speak for. And then we have the previous Speaker who accuses our Minister of Social Development of going feral. Absolutely ridiculous, and then accused her of bashing up on beneficiaries and corralling them. Absolute rubbish. There is nothing within the future-focused document that is anything about being punitive whatsoever. And it reminds me very, very strongly of what took me from being an ardent supporter of the Labor Party to going and becoming a member, a paid-up member of the National Party, when it was the Labor Party's Minister of Labour in 1987 which cut all those people off the PEP scheme because it was too expensive to administrate, and the Labor Party, many of whom who were sitting on the front, sitting in the cabinet in those days, occupied the front benches of that party opposite today. They were there, and they have that dirt still on their hands, because what they said was, no, employment is just too good for you. We're just going to pay you a benefit and get you to stay home because we don't want to see you. We want your votes because you're ours. You carry our brand, and we don't actually give a stuff about you. And that is what they are saying today. They are saying exactly that. I remember those days as a sole charge policeman in Partia after the closure of the Partia freezing works. Those young children that the member who's just received a seat was talking about, saying this policy has nothing to do with them, it was those young people under his previous administration who were relegated, because all they saw was their parents in bed in the morning, waking up, having a cup of coffee and going back to bed. And because they didn't have to tip out of bed in the morning and go to work, those young children spent the next 10 years of their lives watching their parents do that. And what did they aspire to? What did they aspire to? They aspired to get onto a benefit as quickly as they damn well should have or could have. And the thing is, with the Labor Party sitting over there, barrelling on as they're doing now, the point is this: it is fundamental to Labor Party policy to keep a large sector of this community poor and pissed off, so that they can't never have to look at themselves for things like aspiration, growth within their community. Nobody, and the other words we have from other members is, where are the jobs? Where are the jobs? Where are the jobs? Well, what they forget is that welfare policy in this country is about aspiration. It's not about relegation. Now, under the previous government, it was about relegation, because if you're on a benefit, you should never, ever, ever be allowed to aspire to be anything else other than low paid or on a benefit. Well, the National Party in government has bigger aspirations and has greater aspirations for those people who are the most vulnerable within our community, and as the previous Speaker said, are the least well educated and have less prospects for the future. But let's give them something to aim for, and let's encourage them. And this policy here, this future-focused policy, is a mixture of incentives. Most of them are about encouragement. Those that say to you, if you are going to be on a benefit for 12 months, you're going to reapply. If there are jobs, you will be encouraged to make an application for it, and we will take you there. And they are now enhanced. The member says we have them now, and yes, some of those provisions are there, and under this piece of legislation they are enhanced. So here's a member whose party spent 9 years in government and never took the massive leap of allowing someone on the domestic purposes benefit to earn another measly $20 a week. $20 a week, and so you're going to vote against that. Well, I look forward to hearing members opposite stand up and justify in their electoral offices week after week why they refuse to allow those people on those benefits to earn another $20 a week. Another $20 a week, and you would withhold them from that. Dr. Prasad, you would withhold them from that. Under National, we are offering incentives. Some of them are positive incentives and some of them are negative incentives. We remember, for instance, the huge growth of those people moving from the unemployment benefit onto the sickness benefit under the last Labor government. Now, if those 70,000 people who went and joined the sickness benefit under the last Labor government were truly sick and truly incapable of work, every one of them, and hadn't just been moved from government policy to remove people from the unemployment benefit and hide them on the sickness benefit, we would have an epidemic in this country so serious we would be on the international stage for having some malaise, some sickness epidemic that was seeing thousands and thousands and thousands of people relegated into a situation when they couldn't work. And the member, who hasn't shut up since I got on my feet, the member protests that that is actually the case. And I would suggest that that malaise under that government must be verbal diarrhoea, because it's leaking from every orifice.
Peace at last!
Don't you just love it? Don't you just love it? The fact is that this government has been aspirational for New Zealand, and it has put in a number of measures in place to make sure that we take this country somewhere. The previous member said it was dog whistle politics. Well, you hear dog whistle politics at a time when a government is under pressure. I don't know how many papers those members opposite read, but actually this government is not under pressure. This government is doing very nicely, thank you. In fact, the people who are under pressure in the political scene in New Zealand are actually those members opposite. And that's where we see the dog whistles coming from. You know, that's where we see, for instance, the answer to our economic demise at the moment is what we should do is cut the salaries of the top 16 public servants in the country. That's it. The dog whistle politics is when the would-be Prime Minister puts his hand up and says a millionaire should be able to receive welfare benefit. New Zealanders expect that there is a quid pro quo. New Zealanders accept that in a civilised society where you have a welfare system, that there is a quid pro quo. In other words, there is a safety net and there is an encouragement for people who need assistance to better their circumstances to be able to do that. But if someone is going to receive a benefit, then there is an expectation that they will do certain things towards getting off that benefit. And I wonder what those expectations might be. Well, they are to look and make serious applications for those vacancies that are there. Now, about now there should be a chorus saying what jobs, where are the jobs, etc., etc. But we get back to the point that this initiative, Future Focus in respect of welfare, is aspirational. So the member opposite then, who's just resumed his seat, actually it's quite a while ago now, the member opposite would say then, OK, we should never aspire to be in any better situation that we're in as long as we have unemployment at a slightly inflated rate as it was a few months ago. The member opposite would say we should never have any initiative that's going to kick in any time until all of a sudden the job market is flooded with jobs and there is a labour shortage. Well, here is a party on this side of the House, here is a party in government who's got a few ideas. Here is a party in government who campaigned on those ideas. Here is a party in government that is in government because the country wants to realise the aspirations that this party has for this great country. And as long as those members sit on that side of the House, scream out that sort of diatribe, they will always be there, and long may it be.
I call Carmel Cipollone.